Good evening, everyone. Today I want to speak from the depths of a human experience we all encounter. Love. That four-cater word that writes poems, breaks hearts, and builds entire lifetimes. I always thought that I loved somebody. I thought I knew what love was. Sleepless nights, constant thoughts about someone, doing anything to see them smile. I convinced myself that giving all of myself to another person meant I had found true love. For many of us, love is one of the most powerful and desirable emotions we long to experience. It is romanticized in movies, novels, and music as a feeling that lifts us, saves us, and defines us. But what often goes unnoticed is how easy that yearning for love becomes entangled with emotional dependence. It's easy to believe we love someone simply because they become our comfort zone, the person we always turn to when we feel broken or alone. We mistake the relief they bring us in moments of vulnerability as evidence of deep love, when in fact it may be nothing more than an emotional crush. This confusion is subtle, yet it forms the basis of countless relationships built not on genuine affection, but on fear of solitude. Emotional dependence often disguises itself as devotion. We may find ourselves thinking, I can't live without them, or they are the reason I am happy. These thoughts, while seemingly romantic, point toward a dangerous reliance. When our identity, peace of mind, and emotional stability hinge on the presence or validation of another person, we are not loving them. We are depending on them for our sense of worth. This form of attachment is fragile and conditional. The moment the other person pulls away, we collapse. The withdrawal feels like heartbreak, but it is actually the withdrawal of a false sense of security we've built around them. Another sign of emotional dependence is the inability to find joy or fulfillment outside the relationship. When we stop engaging in our passions, distancing ourselves from friends, or sacrificing our dreams for the sake of maintaining someone's presence in our life, we aren't acting out of love. We are operating from a place of fear. Love should never cost us our essence. Yet, in the name of love, we often abandon ourselves just to hold on to someone who may only be satisfying our emotional hunger, not nourishing our soul. True love, on the other hand, can only bloom when two complete individuals come together, not to complete one another, but to walk alongside each other as equals. It stems from a place of emotional independence, where love is offered freely and not traded for attention or validation. Understanding the difference between love and emotional dependence requires deep introspection. It demands that we ask ourselves hard questions. Do I love this person for who they are, or for what they make me feel? Would I still value myself if they were gone? When we begin to untangle our emotions with honesty, we often discover that what we believed was love was simply a mirror reflecting our unmet needs and inner emptiness. From a young age, many of us are fed the narrative that we are incomplete until we find the one. Whether it's through fairy tales, films, or cultural expectations, the message is consistent. Our lives only become whole when we're with someone else. This idea seeps into our subconscious and becomes a belief we don't often question. We grow up searching not for personal growth, but for someone to fix us, to fill the empty spaces, to make sense of the chaos within us. This pursuit can feel noble, even romantic, but in truth, it creates a dangerous illusion. Believing another person is the missing piece to our puzzle sets us up for disappointment, dependency, and ultimately disillusionment. When we fall into this illusion of completeness, we place immense pressure on the other person to fulfill roles they were never meant to carry. We expect them to heal our childhood wounds, to silence our insecurities, to constantly reassure us of our worth. Without even realizing it, we turn them into emotional caretakers rather than equal partners. The love we offer becomes conditional, based on how well they satisfy our internal craving. We mistake their presence for healing when what we truly need is to turn inward. No one can do the inner work for us. No one can replace the relationship we must cultivate with ourselves. Furthermore, relying on another person to feel whole creates a cycle of constant fear and anxiety. We begin to fear losing them, not just because we care about them, but because we fear losing access to the emotional stability they represent. Their absence, real or imagined, begins to feel like the unraveling of our very identity. And so we cling, we compromise, we shrink, we do whatever it takes to keep them close, because without them we believe we are nothing. But this isn't love. It's survival masked as affection. It's a quiet desperation that disguises itself as devotion. Little dispense here. True completeness cannot be found in the arms of another. It is a personal internal journey. It's about merging into one entity. It's about completion. Instead, look for someone to complete inside his Marius real legitimate, complete implicity. It's when we let go of the illusion that love should make us whole, we begin to build connections based on freedom, understanding, and shared growth rather than emotional dependency. Only then can love truly flourish, not as a remedy to our emptiness. One of the most misunderstood ideas about love is the belief that when you love someone, they become yours. It's a subtle belief that creeps into our thoughts, actions, and even language. Phrases like my person, my everything, or you belong to me reflect how possessiveness has been wrongly romanticized. We start to think that love gives us the right to control or direct the other person's actions, choices, and emotions. But real love doesn't work that way. Love is not about ownership. It's about respect, trust, and the freedom to be. When we truly love someone, we honor their individuality rather than try to mold them to fit our desires or expectations. Possessive love is rooted in insecurity and fear. When we fear losing someone, we try to tighten our grip. We may become jealous, demanding, or overly protective, not out of care, but out of the fear of abandonment or being replaced. This fear, control can strangle the very love we're trying to preserve. Relationships built on possession often end up being suffocating, where one or both partners feel they can't truly breathe or be themselves. Love that is conditional on compliance. You must act this way, or I'll withdraw my affection, is not love. It's manipulation, disguised in emotional language. True love requires the courage to let the other person be free. It means understanding that they have a life beyond us, dreams that don't include us, and a right to their own space, thoughts, and boundaries. Loving someone doesn't mean you have to agree on everything or spend every waking moment together. In fact, it means the opposite. It means you trust them enough to let them grow, explore, and even walk away if that's what they need. This kind of freedom is rare and difficult, especially in a world that often equates love with exclusivity and control. But without freedom, love cannot thrive. It becomes stagnant, predictable, and eventually destructive. When we let go of the idea that love is about possession, we unlock the door to a deeper, more mutual connection. We stop needing constant validation. We stop monitoring their every move. And we stop believing that they exist solely to fulfill our emotional needs. Instead, we start appreciating who they are, not as extensions of ourselves, but as individuals with their own light. That's when love evolves from a desperate grasp into a peaceful presence. When we love someone in their entirety, not just who they are for us, we no longer feel the urge to own them. We simply feel grateful to walk alongside them, even if it's only for a while. One of the most overlooked truths in life is that the quality of love we give to others is directly tied to the love we give to ourselves. It's easy to fall into the trap of seeking love externally while neglecting the internal relationship we have with ourselves. We look for someone to appreciate us, to reassure us, to treat us kindly. Yet we forget to show ourselves those very things. The irony is that we often expect others to fill our void that only we can truly understand and nurture. Without self-love, our relationships become places of performance rather than authentic connection. From Livenhood, read more, Quelta. That's the way, read out of me. When we don't love ourselves, we enter relationships with wounds. We expect the other person to heal. We seek constant validation because we haven't validated ourselves. We feel insecure, jealous, or unworthy, not because our partner has done anything wrong, but because we don't yet believe we are enough. This kind of dynamic places an unbearable weight on the relationship. The other person becomes responsible for our happiness, our confidence, even our peace of mind, but no one can carry that burden. A partner can support us, encourage us, and care for us, but they cannot build the love we refuse to build within ourselves. Loving yourself doesn't mean being arrogant, selfish, or dismissive of others. It means knowing your value, honoring your needs, and not compromising your well-being to please someone else. It means setting boundaries, not to push people away, but to protect your inner peace. It means speaking kindly to yourself, forgiving your past, and choosing to grow rather than shrink in the face of pain. When you practice self-love, you stop looking for relationships that complete you and start attracting those that complement your journey. The foundation of true love isn't built on desperation or lack. It is built on wholeness. When two people who love themselves come together, they don't try to fill each other's emptiness. Instead, they share from a place of fullness. They lift each other, not because they are broken, but because they are strong. Their relationship becomes a partnership, not a rescue mission. They live each other off. They live off. They live off. They live off. They live off. The love they share is healthier, more stable, and more resilient because it isn't driven by fear or need. It is rooted in mutual respect, trust, and the confidence that both people are complete as they are. And from that strong inner foundation, a love worth building can truly begin to grow. One of the greatest confusions we face in our emotional lives is the inability to distinguish between love and attachment. They often feel the same. Both are intense, emotional, and deeply binding, but they are born from entirely different places within us. Love is expansive, freeing, and generous. Attachment, on the other hand, is limiting, controlling, and fear-based. When we are attached to someone, we are not necessarily loving them for who they are. We are clinging to what they represent in our lives. They become a symbol of comfort, identity, or safety. And we fear losing that rather than cherishing who they are at their core. Attachment tends to create expectations. We attach ourselves to the idea of someone staying with us, meeting our emotional needs, and behaving in ways that keep our insecurities at bay. If they fail to meet these expectations, we feel pain, not because love has faded, but because our illusion of control has been broken. We confuse this emotional discomfort as a sign of love, telling ourselves, I must love them because it hurts so much. When in reality, it hurts because we were attached to a version of them that served our ego, not our heart. Love lets go, but attachment clings, even when it causes harm. The most telling sign of attachment is fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of being alone. Love, in its truest form, does not operate from fear. Love trusts, supports, and accepts without the need to dominate or possess. Love allows room for change, for distance, and even for endings. But when we are attached, we resist all of that. We resist growth, we resist letting go, and we resist the natural flow of life. Our sense of stability becomes tethered to someone else's presence, and when that presence shifts, we spiral into panic, confusion, and emotional chaos. This is not the sacred pain of love. This is the suffering of attachment. To truly love someone, we must first examine our motivations. Are we with them because we see their soul? Or are we with them because we fear facing our own? Are we holding on because the bond is meaningful, or because the silence in their absence feels unbearable? These are difficult questions, but necessary ones, because only when we dissolve our attachment can we experience love in its most unconditional form. Love does not bind, it liberates. It doesn't ask someone to stay for our comfort. It encourages both people to become more of who they are. It comes from their seasons or consumption. Can love breathe freely without suffocation or expect. Letting go is one of the most misunderstood and painful aspects of love. We're often taught that holding on is a sign of strength, that fighting for someone, no matter what, is the highest expression of love. But sometimes the bravest and most loving thing we can do is to release someone, not out of anger or defeat, but out of profound respect for their path and ours. True love is not about chaining someone to us. It's about recognizing when their journey no longer aligns with ours and allowing them the freedom to walk their own road. Letting go, when done with love and grace, is not a loss. In many cases we hold on not because the connection is healthy, but because we're afraid of the emptiness their absence might leave behind. We confuse comfort with compatibility and familiarity with fulfillment. Even when we sense deep within that the relationship has run its course, we cling to memories, shared moments, and the identity we built around them. We tell ourselves that love means staying, even when staying is draining us emotionally and spiritually. But love, in its purest form, does not demand self-abandonment. It honors truth over attachment. And sometimes that truth asks us to love from a distance, to let go without bitterness, and to wish someone well, even when they are no longer part of our future. Letting go is not about forgetting or pretending the love never existed. It's about accepting that love, while real and meaningful, doesn't always guarantee permanence. People change, and sometimes love itself transforms into something softer, quieter, something that no longer needs to be lived out in the physical presence of the other. When we let go, we are not denying the love, we are allowing it to evolve. We are releasing our grip on how we think love should look, and instead embracing the deeper form of love that simply wants the best for the other, even if it means letting them go. There is immense maturity in letting go with grace. It means we have reached a level of emotional clarity where we understand that love is not about possession, but about appreciation. We can love someone deeply and still know they are not meant to stay. We can walk away with tears in our eyes and still carry gratitude in our hearts. When we let go in love, not resentment, we heal ourselves and give the other person a space to grow in their own right. This act of releasing, when done sincerely, becomes a reflection of our own inner strength and the highest form of compassion we can offer. In the pursuit of love, many people unknowingly use it as a form of escape. Love becomes a distraction, a way to pleasen not other space life, the many of this. Culture, unconscious. I depend on guidance. Our place comes from the reef, but love that begins as an escape is fragile. It is not rooted in clarity or self-centeredness, but in neediness and fear. And sooner or later, those fears resurface. even more amplified. When the relationship begins to falter, a relationship built on escape does not challenge us to grow. It simply shelters us from discomfort. It offers temporary relief, not lasting transformation. We become emotionally dependent on our partner to feel seen, safe, or significant. Instead of doing the inner work to understand our own insecurities, we expect our partner to fix them. We believe that love will heal all wounds, but healing does not come from another person. It comes from within. So without conscious effort and personal responsibility, we become stagnant. The relationship turns into a holding pattern where both people are stuck in roles designed to avoid pain rather than embrace growth. Real love is the opposite of escape. Real love is the opposite of escape. It is a catalyst for growth. True love becomes a mirror, reflecting both of the reality and our experience and hidden desires. And in that vulnerability becomes elephant a roar. With a partner who sees us clearly and loves us enough to speak truth, we are inspired to grow, not because we are forced to change, but because we are supported and encouraged to become our best selves. When we stop using love to run from ourselves and start using it to better understand ourselves, everything changes. We begin to choose partners not based on who makes us forget our pain, but on who helps us rise through it. We start seeking connections that expand our capacity for compassion, patience, and inner strength. Growth-based love is not always easy. It requires honesty, effort, and courage, but it is fulfilling beyond measure. It gives us more than comfort. It gives us meaning. It does not dull our pain with fantasy. It strengthens our heart with truth. And in that sacred space of shared growth, love becomes not just a feeling, but a lifelong journey of becoming. So today, as I stand before you, I no longer say, I always thought that I loved somebody with the same certainty I once did. Because now I understand that love is not about losing yourself in someone else, but about finding yourself alongside them. It's not about filling a void, but about growing from wholeness. Real love does not chain us, it frees us. It doesn't demand that we escape our pain. It walks with us through it. And above all, love is not something we stumble into blindly. It is something we build intentionally, starting from within. If you've ever mistaken attachment for love, don't blame yourself. If you've ever held on too tightly out of fear, you are not alone. We all learn through experience, through heartbreak, and through silence. But the most powerful love story you will ever live is the one you write with yourself. And once you learn to love that person deeply, truthfully, and without condition, every other love will simply be a beautiful addition, not a desperate need. So perhaps the journey was never about finding someone else to complete you. Perhaps it was always about returning home to yourself. And in that place, where love is no longer about possession or escape, but growth and freedom, you will finally understand what it means to love truly, not because you thought you did, but because now you finally know you can.